What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's fight in New York City at 168 pounds between Edgar Berlanga and Hamza Sheeraz. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, could you please remember to like this video? Also, hit subscribe. My YouTube analytics are telling me that 75% of you who watch my content haven't done this yet. Also, one more thing, go down to the bottom of your screen, find the bell notification icon, click that so you never miss a video. Boxing is back. July is stacked, and this weekend is filled with very interesting fights, both on Friday night in America and Saturday night. We've already documented one of the big fights, a trilogy between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, but in this video, we're gonna be talking about Edgar Berlanga versus Hamza Sheeraz. We're gonna be going over both of their careers, talk a little bit about how they go about their business, and stay tuned to the end of the video. Like always, that's where I'll be going over the current Las Vegas odds and be giving you my money line prediction on telling you where to put your money. All right, guys, this is one of those fights, one of those interesting fights to where since it got signed on the dotted line, I've been getting asked about it on my daily live streams. People have been asking me for my prediction. It's not for a world title fight, but for a title eliminator, so there is a lot on the line. The more well-known household name internationally is going to be Edgar Berlanga based off of that incredible start to his career, 16-0, 16 first-round knockouts. Plus, you mix in a fight with Canelo Alvarez, and you got a guy that a lot of people know when you're talking about them. But with Hamza Sheeraz, you cross over to the pond, the UK, and also all throughout the Middle East, people know about him as well. The 26-year-old knockout artist was on a 15-fight knockout streak up until his last fight when he finally got a chance to fight for a world title at 160 pounds against the current champion, Carlos Adames. And that fight was declared a draw. I live streamed that fight when it was happening, and I just rewatched that fight once again, and it's a hill that I will die on. I feel like Sheeraz was gifted a draw. He started off well in the early rounds, and the way I scored it, I had Adames winning that fight. I'm just glad that they didn't strip that fight away from Adames. Adames made great adjustments from the third round onwards. Started a little bit slow, but with his style, he operates that way. He likes to see what his opponent is giving him, and then he turns it up throughout the fight, and this is exactly what he did with Sheeraz. The Sheeraz camp are going to say that he came in with an injury and says that's why he didn't perform at his best. Make that however you will. I don't like Sheeraz's body language in that fight from the fourth round onwards. If you watch the corner work, he did look uncomfortable, and it looked like Adames's style was giving him fits. At the end of the day, like I said, not a loss on either guy's records, a draw. And in my opinion, I'm glad they didn't take Adames's belt. Moving forward, Sheeraz's camp will also tell you that he was cutting a lot of weight. We know this to be true. He is a big guy, 6'3". He was fighting at 60, worked his way up to that, and this is going to be his first fight at 168. A lot of his handlers are expecting a phenomenal performance. He has moved camps. He's being trained for this fight by Andy Lee. You'll recognize this guy's name. He's at the top of the food chain regarding coaches over across the pond. We saw the difference in Ben Whitaker's performance against Liam Cameron more recently in terms of going to Andy Lee and seeing those results. He's going to be staring across the ring from Edgar Berlanga, fighting in his home state of New York. If you've been watching the lead up all fight month, you're going to see a lot of interviews between both guys, a lot of face-to-faces. There's going to be a lot of vitriol on this fight. Berlanga feels he is above and beyond in terms of class over Sheeraz. In a recent interview, Berlanga told Sheeraz to his face that he is to Sheeraz his Canelo. I found that pretty comical in terms of Berlanga working his entire career to get the Canelo fight. And even though he lost, he had a fight parade. Take that however you want to take it. I find that comical. Also, all jokes aside, what you're going to get with both fighters, you're going to get a Edgar Berlanga who wants to mix it up in the pocket. Not always the most defensively sound guy in terms of when he's in the strike zone. We've seen him get buzzed before. We've seen him get knocked down before. He's never been stopped. And with this offensive arsenal, that's what makes it so exciting. Sheeraz is going to be the slightly taller guy, slightly younger guy, has a slightly longer reach as well. Hamza is a guy who's very talented. He could fight at different ranges. He could fight you on the outside. He could fight you on the inside. When I see his best work, it's actually on the inside in the pocket. He likes going to the body and finishing up top. It will be ill-advised for Berlanga to fight him, in my opinion, on the outside. I think Berlanga is going to have his best opportunity to win this fight actually on the inside based off of his comfortability at 168. And I feel he's going to be more durable than people think Berlanga is against Sheeraz's offensive attack. Right now, I do want to take a closer look at Hamza Sheeraz and see what he's been up to in his career. Guys, Hamza Sheeraz is 21-0-1. He has 17 knockouts. He carries into the ring an 81% career knockout to win ratio. And out of 1,785 fighters in the world at 168, he's ranked number 5. He's fought a total career of 98 pro rounds, and his adoring fans know him as Muhammad Sheeraz. The 26-year-old Brit is a 6'3" orthodox fighter with a 75-inch reach. He was born in Slough, Berkshire, United Kingdom, but lives in Ilford, Essex, United Kingdom. We last saw him fight Carlos Adames, 24-1, split draw. Tyler Denny, 19-2, stopped him in the second. Austin Williams, 16-0, stopped him in the 11th. Liam Williams, 25-4, stopped him in the first. Dmitry Mitrofanov, 13-0, stopped him in the second. Like I said, the hype is real with Hamza Sheeraz. It's no secret who's been backing him, promoting him. Turkey Al-Sheikh feels that Hamza Sheeraz not only is going to be a world champion at 168, he feels like he is the next face of boxing. He has a fun style. Like I said, physically, he ticks all of the boxes. He likes jabbing his way on the inside. He could fight you off his back foot. He could fight you off the front foot. If you look at his last recent fight and judge him off of that, I don't think that's a fair assessment. The draw, he did have a flat performance. Before that fight, he was coming off 15 stoppages in a row, most impressively against Ammo Williams. In my opinion, that victory against Ammo is a great victory, but when you look at the guy's physicality side by side, I'll say this, and I've always said this, I don't think Ammo's fighting in the proper division. I don't think 160 is a proper division for him. I'd actually like to see him fight at 54. All that aside, Hamza Sheeraz, he's a dog. He wants to be in a dog fight. He can fight technical. I think he's going to have the more technical advantage over Edgar Berlanga. And we're going to learn a lot early in terms of who respects whose power and how the fight's going to go. I'm looking at that first minute of the fight. Both guys say they're going to start the fight in the middle and let the chips fall as they may. Pay attention to a key word in terms of the outcome: durability. Right now, let's take a look at the American Edgar Berlanga. All right, guys, Berlanga's 23-1 with 18 knockouts. Out of 1,785 fighters in the world at 168, he's ranked number 9. He carries in the ring a 78% career knockout to win ratio, and he's fought a total career of 85 pro rounds. His adoring fans know him as the Chosen One. And the 28-year-old American is a 6'1" orthodox fighter with a 73-inch reach. He was born in Florida and calls Florida, USA home. We last saw him fight Jonathan Gonzalez Ortiz, 20-0, stopped him in the first. Canelo, 61-2, lost a decision in the 12th. McCrory, 18-0, stopped him in the 6th. Quigley, 20-2, UD in the 12th. Angulo, 27-2, UD in the 10th. Edgar Berlanga is a guy, like I talked about, who entered the pro ranks with a lot of hype. People either love him or they hate him regarding his personality. A lot of times in the fight world, people will judge a guy based off of how they carry themselves, what they say outside of the ring. I tend to judge a guy on what I see inside of the ring. Berlanga, because of his personality, is so big. People often forget about a couple things that I really like about his fight style. He's not the most technical guy. He has flaws defensively, but I think his hand speed is definitely underrated. It's one of my favorite things of his offensive bag. Also, his power. He uses his speed to set up his power. If we're looking at it from a strength and conditioning standpoint, I am a strength and conditioning coach. A lot of you guys on my channel already know that. If you break down the term plyometrics is a philosophy of training using our body weight to create speed. Speed creates force. Force creates power. That is a mathematical equation. In boxing, guys will have one-punch knockout power, Deontay Wilder, or guys will have functional power, like Berlanga. He uses his hand speed to get those knockouts. Granted, as of late, the Ortiz knockout, that guy hadn't fought in 10 years, so I don't really want to count that one. And ever since the 16-0 streak, he really hasn't been stopping guys. He's going to give himself an opportunity to put a lot of those naysayers to bed when they say his resume is weak, he hasn't fought anybody. When I look at both guys side by side, Berlanga is going to be a couple years older. Sheeraz is the taller guy, the longer guy. The 8-pound difference in weight class matters, so Sheeraz will be entering the waters at 168 for the first time. I like Sheeraz's jab. I like Sheeraz's length. I like what he looks like on the outside. I like what he looks like on the inside. With Berlanga, I like his power. I like his speed. I like his willingness to exchange. And I like a guy who's been knocked down to the canvas before and gotten up. You've seen him drop before, like I talked about. Sheeraz has been dropped before, nobody talks about. When you go back to a fight in 2022 against Francisco Torres, a guy who only has 4 career knockouts, Torres lost the fight and he got stopped, but he dropped Sheeraz. My point is, some of the things that I dislike about Sheeraz's style is when he exits the pocket. You see a lot of this with taller fighters, think Seb Fundora. He exits with his chin up. I see that in Sheeraz. His defense at times is also leaky, similar to Berlanga. So like I said earlier in the video, I think durability will be a key component on who wins this fight. Right now, I do want to take a closer look at the Las Vegas odds. And remember, guys, I do daily live streams in which we talk about over and unders, method of victories, knockdown prop bets. In this video, I'm only going to give you my money line prediction. Also, tomorrow, if you're catching this today, I'm going on Gary from 3D Boxing's channel. We're actually going to do a debate and talk a little bit about why I'm taking, who I'm taking, and he's going against the other guy. So if you haven't subscribed to Gary at 3D Boxing, do that right now. All right, guys, pull out our betting apps. Down here in Australia, I use a betting app called Sportsbet, currently on the money line. Edgar Berlanga is a $2.10 underdog, meaning you put 100 on Berlanga just to win. You get your money back plus 110 bucks. The draw is 16 to 1. Sheeraz is a $1.83 favorite, meaning you put $100 on Sheeraz just to win. You get your money back plus $83. Like I said, Sheeraz, the hype is warranted. Don't judge him for what he looked like against Adames. He said he was injured. He said he was flat. I'm not judging him on that performance. And you can take what you will about Berlanga's last performance. Ortiz, like I said, hadn't fought in over a decade, but at one time, he was a rising prospect. Berlanga is the same guy who lost to Canelo, went the distance, had a victory lap. Say what you will about that, literally had a parade after a loss, which is insane, but I kind of like it. Where I'm putting my money at on the money line here, I predict Edgar Berlanga to actually be too tough for Hamza Sheeraz. I think he's going to be able to figure out the jab and distance. I think he's going to be wise enough to fight Sheeraz on the inside. I feel this is where Berlanga is going to do his best work. I feel he's going to work the body, break Sheeraz down. I question right now at this stage of the game Sheeraz's toughness. I question his durability, and I question his mindset. And it's going to be one of those fights that he's going to have to prove it to me. I don't see him coming to New York and beating Edgar Berlanga. You're going to have to wait till my live streams to tell you how I think the fight ends. But I'm going all in on Edgar Berlanga, the chosen one, to be too much, too tough, too gritty, have too much hand speed and too much power against Hamza Sheeraz. Guys, you do not have to agree with me. This is not an echo chamber. Who do you think's winning this fight, Berlanga or Sheeraz? What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's fight at 174 pounds between David Morrell and Khataev. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, could you please remember to like this video? Also hit subscribe, and do one more thing for me. Go down to the bottom of your screen, find the bell icon, click that so you never miss a video. All right, guys, we continue our really busy and exciting week in boxing with a fun fight at 174 pounds, guys. This fight takes place on the undercard in New York City, headline between Edgar Berlanga and Hamza Sheeraz. I've already broke that fight down, analyzed it, gave you my prediction. So if you haven't seen that, be sure to watch it. That video is linked in this video's bio. Also, right now in the comments section, before I continue, who wins that fight? Pretty 50-50 in all the comments section, Berlanga or Sheeraz. Moving forward on the business at hand, it's an intriguing fight at 174 pounds. We last saw David Morrell in his only loss against David Benavidez. This will be his third fight at 174 pounds. The Benavidez fight was his second. And in my opinion, it's one of those fights for me, even though the guy lost, Morrell, I learned a lot about him. And a lot of these lessons I learned were all positive going into this fight. He takes on a very tough, undefeated Imam Khataev. Khataev was on a 100% knockout streak until his last fight. We covered that fight against a really tough Derval Palacios. He got the victory, didn't get the stoppage, and it's business as usual. That victory propelled him to the world stage against a very gritty, skilled southpaw in David Morrell. So in this video, we're going to be breaking down both fighters' careers. We're going to talk a little bit about how they go about their business, and stay tuned to the end of the video. That's where I'll be going over the current Las Vegas odds. I'll also give you my prediction and tell you where to put your money. All right, guys, for all you Aussie fans, you'll know the name Imam Khataev. He's not a born Australian, but he's kind of an adopted son. He's managed by George Kambosos Jr.'s father, Jim Kambosos. In the last few fights, we've seen him fight on Australian soil. His most recent one was a tough, gritty victory against Derval Palacio. In that fight, you see the orthodox fighter put his chin down with Khataev. He's always going to want to land power shots. He pretty much has one gear in terms of what he wants to do: pressure you backwards, be on his front foot, and break you down and bully you. We're going to see an interesting stylistic matchup because he's going to be going up against a very slick, skilled southpaw in David Morrell. And don't let his Cuban flag and his bio fool you. Historically, we know about the Cubans like to move. They use a lot of left to right lateral movements to evade. Morrell will do that, but he has knockout power. He has a lot of skills at 174 pounds, and I feel even though he got his first loss of his career against Benavidez, he's going to take a lot from that loss. We know how good David Benavidez is, and in my opinion, it's going to be one of those instances where you roll over after a loss against a world-class guy and you add things to your tool belt. Both guys are dangerous with their backhands. Both guys have knockout power. Just look at their knockout to win ratio. It's going to be interesting what game Morrell chooses to play right off the bat. We know what game Khataev plays. It's the only game he knows. Pressure you back, bully you, land his backhand. The thing that Khataev does really well is his power. We did see in his last fight, though, Palacio overcame that offensive arsenal and drew Khataev into a later round fight, and you started to see some of the holes in his game, which is common for a guy with only a handful of fights. With Morrell, same thing. We saw him get drawn out, saw him go to a decision. He's yet to stop a guy at light heavyweight, and only time will tell to see if each guy can implement their game plan in terms of what they want to do to get a victory. Right now, I do want to take a closer look at Imam Khataev and see what he's been up to in his career. Guys, Khataev is 10-0 with 9 knockouts out of 1,856 fighters at light heavyweight. He's ranked number 13. He carries in the ring a 90% career knockout to win ratio and has fought a total career of 37 pro rounds. The 30-year-old is an orthodox fighter standing at 5'10". He was born in Urus-Marton, Russia, but calls Sydney, New South Wales, Australia home. We last saw him fight Derval Palacio, 14-3, won a UD in the 10th. Menendez, 11-0, stopped him in the 3rd. Moderna, 31-12, stopped him in the 7th. Bolotniks, 20-7, stopped him in the 6th. Ludovac, 17-12, stopped him in the 2nd. It's no secret what Khataev wants to do. If it was up to him, he would stop every one of his opponents in the very first round. Look at his stats. Look how he goes about his business. The issue with that style, that sort of one gear style, is it works until it doesn't work. And what I'm talking about here is as you grow levels into your game and you etch your way to the world level, you have to have plan B and plan C in your offensive arsenal. You have to be able to make adjustments when your plan A doesn't work, and we'll see if he has that. This will be by far his biggest step up in competition, and you have to think the winner positions themselves not only into another huge fight, but possibly a world title fight at 174 pounds. Let's take a closer look at the Cuban southpaw and see what he's been up to in his career. All right, guys, Morrell is 11-1 with 9 knockouts out of 1,856 fighters at light heavyweight. He's ranked number 5. He's fought a career total of 66 rounds and carries into the ring an 82% career knockout to win ratio. The 27-year-old Cuban is a southpaw standing at 6'1" with a 77-inch reach. He was born in Santa Clara, Cuba, but calls Minneapolis, Minnesota, USA home. We last saw him fight David Benavidez, 29-0, lost the decision in the 12th. Kalachik, 29-2, won a UD in the 12th. Ajekbo, 28-2, stopped him in the 2nd. Fasal, 24-1, stopped him in the 1st. Yerba Sanuli, 16-0, stopped him in the 12th. David Morrell is a guy that a lot of people actually in his last fight had him beating David Benavidez before the fight started. I wasn't one of them. You can check my fight prediction playlist. It's up there. I keep receipts. I thought Benavidez was going to do exactly what he did. I thought Benavidez was going to be the classier guy with the more skilled approach and more dynamic offensive attack, and that's exactly what happened. But when I say that Morrell impressed me through the loss, Morrell impressed me with his toughness. He impressed me with his durability. His hand speed is world class. We knew he was going to do that. And his willingness to trade. And it was a fun and exciting fight, even though I had Benavidez winning most rounds. The reason why this matchup is interesting is because you have two fighters at 174 pounds, both with under 90 total rounds of boxing experience. It's no secret what they want to do. They want to get their job over quickly with their power. So I don't expect this fight to go too long. When I look at these fighters side by side, Khataev's going to be the naturally bigger guy, his frame. He's going to cut more weight to make 174. I actually have to give him the power advantage as well. But other than that, I have to side with Morrell on his height, his reach, the dynamic southpaw, his skill set, his style. I think he has more options in terms of how he goes about his business offensively. He has better footwork. In Khataev's last fight, we saw him fade. We saw him think that he was going to be able to steamroll Derval Palacio, and when Palacio used his toughness to get through that early barrage, but to the decision, what we saw was a very sloppy guard in Khataev. He drops his hands, he doesn't have a lot of head movement, and he's been a guy thus far in his career who's just relied on his power and his chin to get the job done. Before I give you my prediction, I do want to take a closer look at these Las Vegas odds. Remember guys, I do live streams on the daily. In those live streams, that's where we go over method of victory, prop bets, over and unders, and long parlays. So in this prediction, I'm only going to give you my money line parlay. All right, guys, let's pull out our betting apps. If you're down here in Australia like me, I use a betting app called Sportsbet, and currently on the money line, David Morrell is a $1.16 favorite, meaning you put 100 on him just to win. You get your money back plus $16. The draw is 20 to 1. Imam Khataev is a $5.80 underdog, meaning 100 on Imam, you get your money back plus $4.80. Khataev is not quite a 5 to 1 underdog, and I think those odds are actually fair. Even though he has a higher knockout to win ratio, you got to think about step-ups and quality of competition. Stylistically, I think that he's not going to match up too well with Morrell. I think Morrell's going to get to showcase his levels, and I fully expect Morrell to get back on the winning track. I'm siding with the Cuban. I think he's going to handle Khataev. Wait till my live streams because I think there's a very juicy method of victory bet that could sauce our odds up a bit more if you don't want to just take the money line. Guys, what's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's world title fight at 135 pounds between the WBC world champion Shakur Stevenson and the WBC interim champion William Zepeda. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, could you please remember to hit subscribe? Could you also like this video? And right now, go down to the bottom of your screen, find the little bell notification button, hit that so you never miss a video. All right, guys, we have another interesting, fascinating week of boxing coming up. We know that the fights start off with the ladies on Friday night on Netflix, headlined by Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, the trilogy. We've already broke down that fight, analysis and prediction. If you haven't caught that fight, it's tagged in this video. Also right now in the comment section, who do you think wins the trilogy? Do you think Serrano's finally going to get a victory, or will be business as usual for Katie Taylor? But right now, we're going to break down, analyze, and predict the outcome of Shakur versus Zepeda. This is a very intriguing matchup between two undefeated southpaws. One's 29, one's 28, and the time couldn't be better to see this showdown and clash. Shakur's coming off a recent victory knockout stoppage of Josh Padley, and we last saw Zepeda fight twice against Tevin Farmer, winning both of those fights. So in this video, we're going to break down both fighters' careers. We're going to talk a little bit about how they go about their business, what each fighter has to do to become victorious in this fight, and stay tuned to the end of the video. That's where I'll be going over the current Las Vegas odds, and I'll be giving you my prediction and telling you where to put your money. All right, guys, this fight was kind of dangled in front of us for a while now before it got signed, and personally, when I finally saw it was official, I was excited on a few different ends. One, Shakur Stevenson finally getting an opponent who, although he's an interim title, Zepeda, undefeated, wild style, highly aggressive, weaponizes his cardio, everything that people are going to hate on Shakur about that really don't like his style. I think those questions are going to get answered. Some false narratives about Shakur Stevenson I want to start off with. People think that he is a runner, but when you watch him fight, he's not a runner. He's a guy who fights off of his front foot. When you look at him when he's at his best, he is world class in all of the little things that if you're just watching the sport from an average eye, you might not be picking up. So when you watch Stevenson, pay attention to his counters, pay attention to his backhand, pay attention to his feints, watch how he controls space and distance, range, watch how he sets things up. He does a lot of the little pieces of the game really well. William Zepeda, on the other hand, he has mastered his style. We know what we get when we see William Zepeda. Like I said, he's going to be on his front foot. He's a pressure fighter. He uses his cardio to drown his opponents. He has a lot of victories by stoppage, but it's not because he has one punch knockout power. It's because he just drowns you with that volume. So fight fans are intrigued by this matchup. What are we going to see? How many steps back are we going to see Shakur take? Will Zepeda's style work against the master counterboxer, the master defensive fighters such as Shakur Stevenson? Only time will tell. Right now, I do want to remind everybody what's at stake this weekend in New York. All right, guys, it'll be a battle between a bull and a matador when the slick southpaw Shakur Stevenson and relentless puncher William Zepeda square off July 12th at the Louis Armstrong Stadium in Queens, New York. The WBC lightweight champion Stevenson is savoring the opportunity to shine against Zepeda, and he's promising a sensational performance that will catapult him into the top 10 of the pound-for-pound rankings. And I quote, "I have a chip on my shoulder. I have something to prove," Stevenson said on DAZN's On the Ground series. "A lot of people are sleeping on me and don't think that I'm that guy that I've been my entire career. July 12th is going to be a statement." Stevenson has won titles at 26 and 30 and beat Jamel Herring, Oscar Valdez, Robson Conceição, and Edwin De Los Santos, but none of the Newark, New Jersey natives' previous encounters can be compared to what the hard-charging Zepeda will bring. "I haven't fought a style like Zepeda since the amateurs," said Stevenson, a 2016 Olympic silver medal winner. "It makes it more interesting and fun for me because it's something new and different. It sounds like a challenge. The thing with guys like Zepeda is that you have to beat their ass. If you don't beat their ass, they're going to jump on you and stay on top of you the entire time. You have to go out there and get their respect. A lot of people are saying that I'm going to do to him exactly what I did to Valdez. They don't understand that it's two different styles. Valdez is a pressure fighter who loads up, looking for big shots, but his output is not like Zepeda's. Zepeda is a non-stop puncher. Stevenson is coming off a 9th-round TKO win against late replacement opponent Josh Padley in February, a solid performance that proved his hands are healthy again. Zepeda, meanwhile, went tooth and nail against Tevin Farmer in back-to-back fights. Farmer has since been blasted in one round by Floyd Schofield, who was supposed to face Stevenson before he got sick and allowed Padley to step in. After a series of wins in recent years, Stevenson has a tremendous opportunity to rise to the occasion, especially with bigger plans on the horizon. "It takes one night for everyone to think differently of you," said Stevenson. "We're going to shine." And guys, with that quote, I look at this matchup between Stevenson and Zepeda in terms of what Stevenson has the opportunity to do, similar to what Hitchens had the opportunity to do against George, and that is go viral with an impressive victory. And that's exactly what we saw Hitchens. It's exactly what we predicted, and it turned out to be accurate. With Shakur Stevenson, he's going to have to be on point with his counterboxing. I think for him to be successful, he's going to have to invest to the body. He's going to have to get Zepeda's timing down right off jump. With Zepeda, he's going to have to actually get Shakur's respect as well. The minute Shakur thinks that he can't be hurt by anything, he's not going to take any steps backwards. And that's what I meant at the beginning of this video, him being a forward front foot fighter, because historically he is. A lot of people judge him off of the Edwin De Los Santos fight, a fight in which he won, but a fight in which he went from his normal offensive game plan and moved a lot more. It was written that he had a hand injury. Make whatever you want about that. The facts are the facts. He did win a fight against De Los Santos, and he's undefeated. So moving forward, it's going to be interesting. We're going to find out a lot about this fight, how they choose to fight, especially from Shakur right off jump. We know Zepeda is going to pressure him. It's just going to be fun to see what Shakur does in that first round. Right now, I do want to take a closer look at William Zepeda and see what he's been up to in his career. Guys, Zepeda's 33-0 with 27 knockouts out of 2,592 fighters in the world at 135 pounds. He's ranked number 4. He's fought a total career of 160 pro rounds and carries into the ring an 82% career knockout to win ratio. He is the WBC interim world lightweight champion. His adoring fans know him as Cameron. And the 29-year-old Mexican is a 5'9" southpaw with a 69-inch reach. He was born and raised in San Mateo Atenco, Mexico. We last saw him fight Tevin Farmer, 33-7, majority decision in the 12th. Tevin Farmer the first time, 33-6, won a split in the 10th. Gio Cabrera, 22-1, stopped him in the 3rd. Maxi Hughes, 26-6, stopped him in the 4th. Mercito Gesta, 34-3, stopped him in the 6th. With Zepeda, a lot of his haters will kind of be similar in terms of the rhetoric as you hear what they say about Shakur. Zepeda went tooth and nail with a guy like Tevin Farmer. Zepeda got dropped against a guy like Tevin Farmer, not a big puncher. The rounds he spent against Farmer, he's going to be a little less than what he was. But you have to remember, this is a guy who's also undefeated. He's only 29 years old. When you look at the wins against Cabrera and Maxi Hughes, both were by stoppages. You got to say that those were probably some of his most impressive victories in terms of stoppages. Even though he did beat Tevin, some people say both fights could have been contested either way. I disagree. I had Zepeda winning both fights, but I just think they were a lot closer in some fans' eyes that they thought it should be, especially what we saw Kid Schofield do to Tevin as of late that I already mentioned. Right now, I do want to take a closer look at the undefeated champion and see what he's been up to in his career. Guys, Stevenson's 23-0 with 11 knockouts out of 2,592 fighters in the world at 135 pounds. He's ranked number 2. He's fought a career total of 166 pro rounds and carries into the ring a 48% career knockout to win ratio. He is the WBC World Lightweight Champion. The 28-year-old American is a 5'8" southpaw with a 68-inch reach. He was born in Newark, New Jersey, but calls Houston, Texas, USA home. We last saw him fight Padley, 15-0, stopped him in the 9th. Harutnian, 12-1, UD in the 12th. De Los Santos, 16-1, UD in the 12th. Yoshino, 16-0, stopped him in the 6th. Conceição, 17-1, UD in the 12th. And the fights before that, he beat Oscar Valdez and he beat Jamel Herring. The Jamel Herring fight, in my eyes, was my personal favorite fight of Shakur Stevenson. We know that was at 130 pounds. We know he's become a world champion at 126, 130, and 135. Guys, at 28 years old, he's a 3-division world champion. It's interesting for me to sit back and watch as a fan of the sport and a guy who's followed Shakur's career since he's been an amateur, to see these narratives wrapped around him, the pressure the fan bases have put on him, and in my eyes, a lot of negative press that is unwarranted about a 28-year-old undefeated fighter who's as skilled as Shakur Stevenson. Guys, he is not a runner. Watch him fight. I'm not saying this as conjecture. I'm not saying this as shock value clickbait. Watch him fight. He's not a runner. He's a front foot fighter who is a master at counterboxing, who has a master of range and distance, and is a high operator. Can he use the entire ring if he wanted to? Yes, we've seen that against De Los Santos. In this fight, we're going to see, like I said, the most intriguing part, I feel, that will play out the entire narrative of this outcome will happen in that first round. When I look at these fighters side by side, guys, they're both in their prime, 29 and 28. I love that about this fight. Both southpaws, but when you look at their styles, pretty contrasted in terms of what we know each fighter brings to the table, how they go about their business. I said it before, you could call Zepeda one-dimensional, but that isn't supposed to be a negative trait. It's like calling Matias one-dimensional or calling Deontay Wilder one-dimensional, meaning that these fighters have mastered what they're really good at and their opponents know what to expect when they fight them. That being said, I feel Shakur is the more dynamic fighter in terms of skill set. I don't think that that's a shock, and I don't think that's a wild statement. Before I look at the Las Vegas odds and give you my prediction, I do want to mention, guys, if you're new to the channel, I do live streams every day. In those live streams, that's where we go over method of victory, bets, prop bets, over and unders, knockdown parlays, things like that. In this prediction, you're only going to hear my money line prediction. All right, guys, right now let's pull out our betting apps wherever you are in the world. I use Sportsbet here in Sydney, Australia. On the money line, Shakur Stevenson is a $1.11 favorite, meaning you put 100 on Shakur to win, you get your money back plus 11 bucks. The draw's 20 to 1. Zepeda is a 7.75 dog, meaning 100 on him, you get your money back plus 6.75. So going into the fight, Zepeda is close to a 7 to 1 underdog. The odds are the odds for a reason. I think the fight should be a little bit closer, more like a 4 to 1. 7 to 1's pretty insane to me, considering what Zepeda brings to the table. Awkward, tricky style, but I don't think it's a hard style to figure out. Where I'm leaning on, I fully expect Shakur Stevenson to beat Zepeda. I think he's going to win convincingly. Does he win every single round? I'm not going to just sit here and say he's going to do that. I'm not going to disrespect William Zepeda like that. Does he stop William Zepeda? Guys, I feel if we're looking at method of victories and we're looking at path to victories for both guys, I feel that Shakur Stevenson has a better opportunity, a more likely outcome to stop Zepeda than Zepeda has of beating Shakur. And what I mean by that is, with all the aggression Zepeda shows in his style, and with Shakur's ability to counter and his ability to land accurate punches, I can see Shakur investing in the body early, catching Zepeda coming in, Zepeda getting more and more reckless and more frustrated as the fight goes, and Shakur catching him clean. We'll see if this happens. Like I said, right now, my option, my pick is Shakur on the money line. But as the weekend progresses, stay tuned to the channel. I think there's going to be some value on a stoppage. You guys don't have to agree with me. We've never seen either guy lose, so anything can happen. This isn't an echo chamber. In the comment section below, are we going to see Shakur Stevenson keep his belt? Or are we going to see a turning over of the reign and see a new champion in William Zepeda? Guys, what's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's world title fight at 140 pounds between the world champion Alberto Puello taking on the former world champion Matias. Guys, before I continue, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, could you please remember to hit subscribe? Could you also like this video? Also, the channel is offering new Johnny Says Boxing Insider features. For a couple dollars a month, you get to join our exclusive team in which you'll be the first to know my locks of the week. We go over our sports betting in this group. I talk about over and unders, knockdown prop bets, as well as other featured content. All right, guys, this is a fun fight in New York City between a former world champion and a world champion. Dominican Republic versus Puerto Rico. And you know the crowd is going to be electric. Matias is trying to become a world champion again after having lost his title to Liam Perro. He has fought since that loss and has put together a couple victories to put himself in another position to be king of the hill at 140. He's taken on a slick southpaw, a smooth operator, the undefeated Dominican Alberto Puello. We featured him on the channel a couple times as of late. We saw the Sandor Martin fight. We saw the fight in which he beat Gary Antoine Russell, in which after that fight he was elevated to full status. This is going to be a stylistic clash between a big puncher and Matias, a guy who carries into the ring 100% knockout to win ratio. The way he gets his opponents out of there is a little bit more methodical. He doesn't really have one punch knockout power. He has what I like to call accumulative power, and before you know it, you're in deep waters, and when he sees blood, he goes in for the kill. Puello's going to use the ring a lot. He's going to use his jab a lot, and in his eyes, he's going to use his counterboxing, his speed, his footwork, and his overall ring IQ to remain champion. So in this video, we're going to go over both fighters' careers. We're going to talk a little bit about how they go about their business. Stay tuned to the end of the video. Like always, I'll be going over the current Las Vegas odds, and that's where I'll be giving you my prediction and telling you where to put your money. We have a fighter like Matias, who was borderline, I don't want to say avoided, but not many people were putting their hand up to fight him before the Liam Perro fight, specifically because of all the knockouts, the aura that comes with fighting Matias. When Liam Perro went down to Puerto Rico, executed a beautiful game plan, and won a split decision. I don't want to say he gave the blueprint on how to beat Subaru Matias for future opponents, but with Alberto Puello, who's also a southpaw like Pero, who's also a smooth operator and uses his hand speed and timing, I think going into this fight, I wouldn't expect Puello to do anything that much differently than what Pero did to Matias. Guys, so right now I want to remind everybody what's at stake this weekend in New York. All right, guys, for all of those who's questioning how good Alberto Puello is, that will be answered July 12th. The undefeated WBC Junior Welterweight Champion will make the second defense of his title on the Ring's pay-per-view card when he faces Subaru Matias in Queens, New York. Puello of San Juan de la Maguana, Dominican Republic, was elevated to full WBC Junior Welterweight Champion after winning the interim belt via split decision over Gary Antoine Russell on June 15, 2024. He previously held the WBA Junior Welterweight title, but a failed drug test for clomiphene led to him being stripped of the belt in 2023. Puello vs. Matias pits an intriguing clash of styles. Puello was more than apt to stick and move and counter his opponent, while Matias, non-stop pressure guy and volume, have overwhelmed every opponent he has beaten. If their styles mesh and both fighters are jockeying for momentum throughout the fight, that could pave the way for Puello vs. Matias to steal the show on July 12th, with the winner escaping with arguably the best win of their career. Guys, we were live streaming both Puello's wins against GAR and Sandor Martin. I felt like the Puello against Gary Antoine Russell started a bit slow. I thought GAR got off to a great start. I had him up 3-1 going into the 5th. But something happened in the mid-rounds. Alberto Puello made an adjustment and started coming forward and stopping GAR, started working the body, landing his jab, and then making Russell come after him, and he was winning rounds this way. And what we saw, in my opinion, Russell kind of misjudged his gas tank, and towards the mid to late rounds was getting outworked by Alberto Puello. Since that loss from Gary Antoine Russell, he went on to an impressive victory over Rayo Valenzuela, and now he holds a belt. We then saw Puello move on to fight Sandor Martin in another close fight. He won split decision. I always talk about Sandor Martin, one of the most awkward, toughest southpaws to fight at 140 pounds. You'd be hard-pressed to find another guy who loses more close rounds than Sandor Martin. It's almost like he's winning, and up until like the last 15 seconds, he gives rounds away. So he loses a lot of close split decisions. I don't think the victory for Puello was controversial, but it could have gone either way. Subaru Matias is a guy, after he had his belt taken from him, you see this in boxing every now and then, when a sort of fighter's mystique runs dry. People after the Paro loss were calling him a fraud. Go to YouTube now and type Matias, and one of the most downloaded videos of his name says fraud check, all because of the loss to Pero. Now, I wasn't going to sit here and say that I expected Matias to work his way back to a world title. I kind of doubted him. But sure enough, after a few fights, gets back on his winning ways, and he puts himself in an awesome, great position to become a world champion again. This fight has the fight fans on the edge of their seat because nobody can sit here and tell you that they know exactly what's going to happen. Before I do tell you what I think is going to happen and give you my prediction, let's take a closer look at the challenger, Subaru Matias. Guys, Matias is 22-2 with 22 knockouts out of 2,741 fighters. In the world at 140 pounds, he's ranked number 2. He's fought a career total of 118 pro rounds and carries into the ring 100% career knockout to win ratio. His adoring fans know him as El Orgullo de Maternillo. The 33-year-old Puerto Rican is a 5'8" Orthodox fighter with a 71-inch reach. He was born and raised and lives in Fajardo, Puerto Rico. We last saw him fight Galaz Valenzuela, 30-3, stopped him in the 8th. Ramirez, 26-3, stopped him in the 2nd. Paro, 24-0, lost to UD in the 12th. Ergashev, 23-0, stopped him in the 6th. Ponce, 30-0, stopped him in the 5th. When you think of a guy with a 100% knockout to win ratio, you instantly might think that he has one-punch knockout power, that this is a guy, as soon as the fight starts, is searching and seeking, and one punch ends the fight. That's not what he does. What he does is he adds. He constantly is working. He uses his jab to set up his backhand. His backhand is his most dangerous punch, and he wants to walk you down and get you almost in this sort of false sense of safety in which that you see his opponents take his shots, and somewhere around the mid-rounds, they start melting a bit. And this is where his thudding power always makes his opponents pay. And 100% of the time in his wins, he stops them. So it's going to be really interesting to see if this game plan is going to work against the slick southpaw Dominican. Right now, let's take a closer look at the champion and see what he's been up to. Guys, Puello's 24-0 with 10 knockouts out of 2,749 fighters in the world at 140 pounds. He's ranked number 11. He carries in the ring a 42% career knockout to win ratio, and he's fought a total career of 176 pro rounds. He is the WBC World Super Lightweight Champion. His adoring fans know him as La Avispa, and the 30-year-old Dominican is a 5'9" southpaw with a 71-inch reach. He was born in San Juan de la Maguana, Dominican Republic, but calls Las Vegas, Nevada, USA home. We last saw him fight Sandor Martin, 42-3, split decision in the 12th. GAR, 17-0, split decision in the 12th. Madera, 11-0, UD in the 8th. Akhmadov, 9-1, won a split in the 12th. Owens, 13-2, won a UD in the 10th. Guys, a lot of people will point to that Akhmadov fight in which people say that should have been a loss, and then he got set up to fight for his first world title against Rolly, and then he popped dirty for Clomine, and then he was out for a little bit of a time, and then he fights, like I said, GAR and Sandor Martin to a couple close decisions. So I don't want to say the jury's still out on Alberto Puello. I'm a believer in Puello. I think he hits a lot harder than people give him credit for. He's big for the division. He uses the ring well. Not all guys who are tall and lengthy use their length to their advantage. He definitely does. He's very mobile. He uses his footwork to evade, but also he could pressure you. He uses his jab to stop that forward pressure, and I feel that's going to have to be an integral part of his game plan. He just can't let Matias walk him down. He's going to have to dig down and use his jab to stop that forward pressure. Now look at these guys side by side. One's a former champion, one is the champion. Psychologically, it's tough to give either guy the edge. Puello's going to be the taller guy. He's going to have a longer reach. He's going to be the mover. He's going to be the smooth operator. It's no secret what Matias wants to do. The whole world knows what he wants to do. Puello knows what he wants to do. It's just going to come down to, is he going to have the speed and the footwork to stop and corner and cut the ring off against Puello? That's going to be the big question. Before we take a look at these Las Vegas odds and I give you my prediction, I want to let everybody know I do live streams on the daily. So if you haven't already, click that bell notification button so you can be reminded, because it's in those daily live streams that we go over the knockdown props, the over and unders, prop bets, my lock of the week, and my long parlay. But right now, we're just going to go over my money line bet. All right, guys, down here in Australia, the betting app I use is called Sportsbet. So wherever you are in the world, grab your betting apps, and on the money line currently, this is as 50-50 as it gets. Alberto Puello and Subaru Matias are both $1.96 each way. So whoever you pick, you put 100 on, you get your money back plus 96 bucks. The draw is 16-1. Guys, it's very rare that fight week starts and it's a 50-50 fight, and as we approach fight night, it stays 50-50. Generally, money will be coming in one way or the other. This one has stayed right down the middle. What does that tell us? The money, the bettors, the gambling, bookies, everybody says this is a toss-up. It's a coin flip. What I've seen in Puello, what I've seen in Matias, I'm breaking this down straight up logically in terms of styles. I'm putting all my money on Alberto Puello. I'm going to lean on the boxer. I'm going to lean on the southpaw. I like how he uses the entire ring. I also like that people underrate his power because he could crack. And he's not just a guy who's going to be defensively minded the entire time. He has shown that he can fight on the front foot. I fully expect him to take that game plan that Paro executed and kind of turn it up a bit. I think Puello is going to be faster than Matias. I think he has better footwork. I don't like how Matias gets out of position when he throws and misses. And I think that Puello is going to find a lot of opportunities to counter him in those positions. You guys don't have to agree with me. This is not an echo chamber. I've been getting asked about this fight since it got signed. So in the comment section below, let me know who you're going with, Subaru Matias or Alberto Puello.